All right, welcome to the AVNI Interviews. We're your hosts, Eric Bork and Mikey Taylor.
What up?
We're the co-founders of AVNI, a brand for entrepreneurs and influencers. Here on the AVNI Interviews, we interview people doing the work they want in the lifestyle they love to help other people do the same thing. Today's episode is called Side Hustle Money, how to make side hustle money. We have an exciting announcement, and we're going to go over basically what it realistically takes to start a side hustle is the topic of today. Both Mikey and myself have done it, and we're going to talk about how to do it, how we did it, what some of the myths are, and the reality behind actually making it happen, which is a topic that me and Mikey always kind of butt heads on, which makes it more fun. So let's jump in. And also we're launching our academy, which we'll talk a little bit about throughout this to help people get started doing what they want, what they actually want. So let's get started. Mikey, how you doing today, man?
I'm good.
Good.
Energy's up.
The energy's up.
Last episode, man, I was smoked. The mean episode.
In the last episode, Mikey was like, I screenshotted it, and he was just like burnt.
I was fried. Yeah.
I don't think you talked once until about 30 minutes
I know.
in.
I was wrecked. So today's good, man.
All
Today's
right.
been a okay day.
Energy's up. Energy's up. All right. So the point of this episode, I want to cue it up, and I want to talk about basically how people go from being stuck in a position they don't want to be in to actually doing what they want for work. For me, that was the biggest change pretty much in my life when that happened. And I want to start it off by talking about really the two scenarios. Obviously, there's many scenarios, but the two main scenarios that kind of push people or that people are in to get out of. Scenario number one is when you're locked in, your back's against the wall and you have no choice. And essentially it's kind of like survival mode and you have to perform and you have to do something. Scenario number two in starting to make money as a side hustle is what I call the slow death. And for me, there were many years where I worked as a server and I thought it was so difficult to actually break out and do what I wanted, but I had all my basic needs covered. I had a place to live and I could pay for my food. But the slow death is oftentimes the hardest one to break out of. And so there's a lot of people, after we did the How to Quit Your Job episode, we got a lot of DMs about, hey, I want to do this. And that's what's gone into us creating our academy. And that today we're going to talk about how to turn the side hustle into something that actually, how to start making money as a side hustle and then turn it into something that you actually want to do.
Yeah. And I do want to touch on this. This is not for somebody who has their career set and loves doing it and wants to make extra money. I actually don't believe you should have a side hustle for that, right? This is, when we mean side hustle, this is so you can create the side hustle that will end up turning into your career. You just don't have to leave your job right now, go completely dark to start something else. It's just, I think, making it not so risky to do what we mean by side hustle. But I get hit with a lot of people going, I need extra money, so they want to create something on the side. That's not what this is.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify though that if what you're talking about, tell me if I'm right here. What you're talking about is someone who's in their career and it's what they want to do forever and they're good with it.
Yes.
I mean, they could still use this to make money on the side.
I know, but this is why I wanted to just bring this up, because if you're in your career and this is what you're doing and you want this to be what it is, if you go and do a side hustle, you're taking away energy and focus from what your main job is, right? So you're actually, in my eyes, walking away from money that you can drive in one thing to create an alternative side hustle that takes time and energy, right? So that's what I mean. Like, this is for a certain person that does not want to be doing what they're doing or wants a different type of career that gives, whatever you want to call it, more flexibility, a more enjoyable life. This is how to transition out of that. Yeah. This isn't like an alternative revenue stream on the side of your career that is your full-time career.
Well, I would say it actually could be if you're not sure about that career.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're not sure about it, what I'm saying is like if dude, your dream is to be a filmmaker and you're in your career and that's what you're doing, don't go start a side hustle. I don't think.
I want to run through some people that this does apply to. Mm-hmm. So people who are working a job anywhere from a server to working in corporate America, but when you lay down at night to go to sleep, you go, this is not what I'm supposed to do. A lot of people actually hit us up who are filmmakers and creatives, really talented ones. And they go, oh, my work is so hit or miss, and I want steady, reliable income. This is actually, I know we're calling it side hustle, but this is actually how to create reliable income. Yeah. And flashing back to Barton Damer, one of our past interviewees, he had a year under his belt. No, he had 3 years under his belt, I believe, before he broke out and did his own thing. Mm-hmm. He was working full-time corporate America, killing it, doing 3D motion animation, and had this track record of 3 years, and then went, I can do this on my own. He made the leap and he did it. So creatives are definitely a good one. And then the last one too is employees who want to step up within their organization. One of the things I love about nowadays, like we just went to Bedros Keuilian's headquarters, Fit Body Boot Camp. They have a full team down there doing creative. So if you have a job, you can also step up. Say you work at a small business and they don't have a creative team. If you know how to do that, you can step up and introduce a creative department or a marketing department to your small business. Let's say you work in an orthodontist office and no one there knows how to do it. If you learn how to do these skills that we're essentially going to teach today and in our academy, those are, 4 of the top basically roles that I could see people transitioning into what they want to do. So the point of this episode is we want to talk about how to realistically transition into what you want to do. And what I'm going to say is that when you're in that survival mode, it's very difficult to make good decisions. And we're going to talk about Mikey's story and my story really quickly in a second here. But when you're in that slow death, when you're doing something you don't want, I really want to resonate with people who are in that position, because I've been in that position. And I've been in the position where I was like, how do I break out of this? I'm doing the same thing. And I remember thinking, I just wanted to jump and I just wanted to get out and I wanted to do it. And it usually takes a commitment. It takes a commitment. And for me, it took years. It doesn't have to take years, but it takes a commitment and going, this is what I'm going to do, and then doing it. And the reason we harp so much on starting your own agency is because as you do that, you also develop the skill to start your own business. Everything I've learned from making video to Facebook ads, that's all coming into play with what we're doing for AVNI. So I self-educated a lot, and that is beneficial now to building our business, which is AVNI. So let's jump in and talk about our stories. Let's talk about Mikey first, or should we talk about me first? Which way should we? Okay, so let's do this really quickly from your perspective. Can you describe for the audience what you saw me go through in starting my own agency?
So I watched Eric basically go through the epitome of entrepreneurship. Try something, fail. Try something, fail. Try something, end up living back on your mom's couch, fail, right? And to the point where we were all really concerned with him. Then he got a job working for one of our friends, doing sales for what was it? For
medical marketing.
And I found him then making an income, a decent income, but hated what he was doing, right? It was always Eric was making money, but hated his job, or was trying to do something he loved and was broke, right? And with Stuart, when he was working for him, he just didn't like that side of the business, but was making money. And I watched him basically step off, create an agency, and it's the first time in a long time where I watched him create something he was passionate about and make money doing it. And he did the whole thing learning from himself. It was really cool. I had no experience on online learning, and to watch him learn everything online and then turn that into a business that completely supported his not only bills but lifestyle was it was inspiring to watch.
It was shocking to me too.
Yeah, it was shocking, man. We all thought for a second, man, there was no chance for Eric. But
so I have to clarify one thing. I loved working with Stuart. The hard part about working with Stuart was No, it wasn't hard working with Stuart. It was hard working because I didn't have any sustained relationships. I would go in, sell, and then I was gone. I didn't really have relationships with people. And I don't like that. It wasn't a fit for me. So I will kind of say that when I transitioned, and I want to start with this pain point because this is the one I think a lot of people can resonate with. I found myself with my back against the wall going, I'm too smart for this. I had worked for a corporation, for OGO, and I put together, one of the most epic skate teams of the time with you and P-Rod and Costin and Ty Evans and Atiba Jefferson. We made camera bags and backpacks. And when after that had unfolded and I found myself wanting to do my own thing, I realized that I had no idea how to put money in my own bank account. It was deposited into my bank account for me. I had skills that they paid me to do, but I had no idea how to actually go out, get money, and put it in my bank account. I remember sitting there going, I'm too smart for this. I never want to be in this position again, where I didn't know how to go out. Now I can go out. If everything goes wrong, I can go out tomorrow and put money in my bank account. That's a great feeling. And that's kind of the idea behind what we're doing, is being able to do that is a great thing. You're going to say something?
Yeah, and what he means is not like literally how to deposit money in his account. He means how to go out and actually go make money tomorrow.
How to get someone to hand me a check that I can then deposit into my bank account that supports me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in that position. And so for me, that was making videos. Now, the thing with making videos that I now know is that it's a skill that other people can't do. That small businesses, they're thinking about their payroll, they're thinking about drilling teeth, or they're thinking about serving food, but they don't know how to make a video. So if I have that skill, I then become valuable to them.
And I will say this right now, I think why it's so exciting to create an agency, because even though for our world, creating content seems so natural and normal, the majority of business right now, it's not normal. And everybody is recognizing that it's such a necessity, and there's a shortage of it at the moment. So it's a really good skill to have and be able to add value to a company, which in turn means you can make some money doing this.
And I'm going to add on to that, because there's companies that for years would say, social media doesn't work. And I remember like probably 12 years ago, everybody went out and got a Facebook page and it didn't do anything.
Yeah, now everybody knows it. Yeah.
What's happening now is that those people who had that mentality, their competition's doing it.
Yeah.
And they're getting their asses kicked. Mm-hmm. And so they're going, like my neighbor down the street wasn't doing it, but he started 6 months ago and they want it now. But the problem is, sometimes it's not 6 months. Sometimes their neighbor competitor down the street started 2 years ago, and it takes time to build these things. So they're going, shoot, I need to get on this. Yeah. And so there is a need out there right now for this.
Yeah. Which means companies are setting aside budget for it.
They're setting aside budget. They want to pay for it. And so you just need to know how to charge, how much to charge, and what our focus is, and what will set us apart from other places is a lot of times people throw content at you. This is how you do 1,000 things. Well, if you go in somewhere and you know how to do 1,000 things, that's great. What we want to focus on are the few things that the clients need that they cannot do themselves. That there's really a few skills that if you have these skills, the businesses will recognize, or the brands will recognize and go, I need that.
Give a couple.
Well, the first one is creating video. Another one is Facebook ads, how to run Facebook ads. Another one is how to build landing pages. Mm-hmm. So essentially you can know how to build a website. For example, when I first started building websites, I remember I built one and there it was, and no one went there. And then I called you and I was like, hey, this is before our whole journey down ClickFunnels and landing pages. And I said, hey, do you know anything about how to get people to where you put the buttons and stuff? And you're like, I don't know. Yeah. And this was years ago, and that's where it started, is how do you get those pages to convert? How do you put a funnel or a landing page, a funnel is a landing page up, so that people actually put their information in and give you a call? So those are skills that take years to develop. We can teach you a lot faster than years, that businesses do not know how to do. And the thing I personally love about smaller businesses is if I go make a video for a dentist, I'm not the most talented filmmaker, but my video is so good for that dentist. My first video, and I guess I'll just dive into my story right now. My first video was awful. And luckily I filmed it with a very attractive, blonde, beautiful dentist. And so people fixated on her, not my video. And they were like, wow, this video is great. My video was awful. I am the biggest proponent, and I battle people on this, of not doing stuff for free. But in some cases, I will recommend doing 1 or 2 things for free so that you can build your portfolio. So I went out and I knew this dentist, and I said, hey, can I make a video for you? And really, I had a good relationship with her in her office. And, you know, she's worked on like my girlfriend Olivia's teeth, and we visited her, and she's really cool. And I said, can I make a video for you? She said, yeah. And so I did it. And I took that video, and I knew that if people saw it, they would see her name and they would call her and ask her, and she would give me a good recommendation. So then I shopped around and I started making videos for other people. And that turned into great months of some months making like $6,000 doing videos, other months not making any money, which evolved into me wanting consistent pay and consistent money. So my one thing I want to touch on is whenever you look at someone's story, I personally hate the stories of this person, like people telling their own stories. Like, I went out, I sold them, and I can do it. I get like, I'll drop things like, I closed 100 accounts in a year when no one else can close 15. And I went out and cold called these offices and got my own clients, which I did, right? But what people don't understand is that everybody has certain advantages, or they leverage their way into things. And that's really how, in my opinion, in what we're talking about today, you break apart into doing your own thing. So let me play this out. You have a job you don't like. You develop these 5 skills over the next however many months, whether you do it in 1 month or you do it in 12 months. All of a sudden you have these skills that all of these people need. And then an opportunity arises. You know how to do it. You are now making money.
Yeah, and I will say this too, because there's a big component to this that I have seen Eric incredibly good at, and that's selling, right? And you have to know how to sell to close a deal or get a client, right? So we can definitely teach you skills, but without knowing how to go get a client, which will then turn into money, it's just a skill, right? And I would say that's a huge component on this, of not only watching him close all these deals, but giving you the tools on going out and selling. Because in this world, you gotta know how to sell, you gotta know how to market.
Yeah, and I will say this, I don't want to turn anybody off that would go, oh, I'm not like good at sales. That's the point of what we're the basically 4th module at this point. It's the 4th module in our academy, is how to get clients. And you don't always have to be this aggressive salesperson. There's ways to do it. And that was one of the ways, is go out, make 1 video for free. And what I personally like to do is then after I make a video, I figure out if I like working with someone. And then at that point, I will sign up to do, you know, their Facebook ads and the other agency stuff that I do as a part of my agency, or our agency. I'm used to saying my because it used to be mine, but now it's merged together.
I moved in and swooped.
Mikey swooped in. So I don't want people to be turned off thinking that they have to like know how to like hard sell. That's kind of the part that there's different strategies on how to get in, on how to sell. And I will say this, and then I'll kind of just finish off my story and we'll jump into yours, is that that's what Stuart taught me. Is he brought me out and he said, look, what I want you to do is I want you to take out the contract. He said, everyone's going to say no. Every single person is going to say, let me think about it. That's fine. Great. Pull out the contract so that they have it when you leave. And sometimes you actually are going to leave it with them. And then give them the contract, fill it out and say, I'm going to leave this with you. Have a pen in your hand, give it to them, and then gauge at that point if you want to work with them and if they want to work with you. And if they're looking like they do want to work with you, give them an irresistible offer. I'll tell you what, and make it genuine. If you sign up today, I will do, 1 month for free of a 3-month contract, or I'll give you $100 off the first month, just because for me, it's easier to do that than to drive out here again and do another meeting, not knowing if we're going to work together. And I really want to work with you. And the mechanics of selling, that was really easy to say. I just didn't know how to do it. And so those mechanics of selling and getting clients, it's really just knowing what to do. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but just having the presentation and having the contract, which is basically all the stuff we're going to be providing in the academy. So with that said, what I did then, I'll just finish off my story real quick, is that I said, okay, I have this video business, which was up and down. How do I turn this into a sustainable thing that pays me month to month? And I had one client I did a lot of videos for, and they were like, we need someone to manage our social media. What should we do? Now, at that point, I had been building websites and I had been doing all of this stuff. So I was prepared to say, yes, I'll do your social media and I will build you sales funnels. And I know how to do that. And I'll make videos for you for, I charge my clients between $1,500 and $3,000 a month. There's bigger clients, but I like to keep smaller businesses because I'm working on AVNI and I'm not trying to go get clients like Ben times 10, where it takes up a full agency and staff. We're basically putting our efforts more towards AVNI at the moment, but I figured out how to do it. I got a contract from my friend, and I said, what should I do? Put in the contract. He gave me an example, and I took the contract, adapted it to myself, and gave it to my clients. There's just things you need to know. How long is the trial period? How do they pay you? All of that type of stuff that it took me forever to figure out. And so that's kind of what we want to help communicate is you can do I started that side hustle on my spare time. And then it turned into one person going, can you do this month to month? And I said, yeah. And then I went, I can do it again. And then I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. And that's when my life just kind of changed. So I would say developing those skills, those key skills that will get you paid that people cannot do themselves, and then doing it once. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to leverage your way out of a position working as a server or working in a corporate job that you don't like. Don't quit your job. Keep working your 9-to-5 job. Develop these skills. Get one client, and then get another client, and then you go, okay, I know now I can go get 3 more clients. Then you quit, and then you're essentially leveraged out of the position that you were in. And that's how it happened for me. And that's what our academy is all about. So Mikey, let's talk about your story. Mikey's story is a little bit different.
I've been telling my story a lot lately, huh?
Let's narrow it down here. Let's do the same thing we did for me, and I'll start by telling what I saw, and then you can kind of tell it from your perspective. So Mikey, I saw him go from being a professional skateboarder, and I remember when he was a kid going, yeah, I invest in real estate. And like when you were a kid, it was just like, that's what they recommend. That's a good way to make money. And then you going like, whoa, I'm like doing good. Like I'm investing money and I'm getting it back. And then I was there like on a daily, not daily, like a few times a week is how much we hang out while you were going through your transition of I'm not going to be an athlete anymore. And that's where I know we've harped on this before, but it was a dark time for Mikey. Just like I was sitting there going, I have no skills. Why am I not? I'm too smart. Mikey was sitting there going, what am I going to do with my life? Like I skated every day. And for anybody that doesn't know this, I don't think I've ever seen any other pro skateboarder skate more than Mikey. Like every single day that's possible to go skateboarding, he was out there. I would say most weeks, 6 days a week, on a bad week, 3 days a week, and then you're in a bad mood like a day because you couldn't be out there skating. You loved skateboarding so much. So when that ended, there was this like pain, and I watched him go through it. And I watched him basically decide, what am I going to do? And I remember when it clicked. It was like real estate. That's what I'm doing. And I remember watching thinking, he doesn't know anything about real estate. And it was almost like, you had been investing in it, but you didn't know anything about actually doing it. And then I watched you immerse yourself in programs, in podcasts, in talking to everybody who did it, in breaking down numbers and learning and just immersing yourself in it. And it's, you know, crazy. Sometimes me and Mikey will almost like laugh that he is the legitimate president of a capital company who's working on multiple developments.
Yeah.
And I just keep flashing back to the like young kid who was like, I'm gonna buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And now looking at you doing it, your kind of side hustle for those 10 years of skateboarding was investing in real estate. And it was almost like you just kind of like were exploring a bunch of different things. And then that side hustle that you were doing, and you were in a much different position than I was in, but that side hustle became what you wanted to be your full-time hustle. And obviously that's not starting an agency, but remember in that time you did do social media and build brands.
Yeah, totally.
And build numerous brands.
Social media has been a part of my life since Facebook basically became Facebook. Right?
Yeah, you have, how many likes do you, it's funny because that doesn't matter anymore, but how many likes do you have on Facebook? I'd say you have like,
it's like 600, it's like six, a little over maybe 600,000. Yeah, I mean, social media changed my whole career, right? So I've been really in the thick of it for a long time. So even though like, I never personally started my own agency, I've hired out agencies. I've sold product through my platforms or used them to help sell our products for other companies we've done. I know the world so well, but it's funny. It's, you know, my, like skateboarding was like, I just didn't, it was so different than everyone else, right? Like I just didn't want it to end. So I was trying to figure out ways so that like, so that I'd be okay getting through it, right? The investing in real estate was just like, I saw it working for me. And I started seeing a return that would come in without me having to work for it. Mm-hmm. And then that really just became the like, aha, okay, I can get out of skateboarding this way. I need to put more money in and just grow the amount that I was making through my returns, right? But during that point of me trying to figure out what I was going to do was awful. It was awful because I had already found the thing I loved, right? Like most people that we talk to, and why I recognize that my story is unique and probably different than the majority of our listeners is, I loved what I did. I already found that it was just going to end. And most people we're talking to, we want them to step away from what they're doing that they don't like and get them into a position of loving what they do, right? So I was almost on this like trying to like have lightning strike twice. Like I found out what I love to do. Shit, now I got to find it out again. Mm-hmm. And now I got to build again. It was like I felt like I was starting over, right? So it's like, even though like I recognized that I had a lot of advantages, having to make this transition the way I did, but there were a lot of hardship to it as well, right? There's always pros and cons, right? I had to deal with the whole basically changing a brand that I had built in a completely different direction, right? Yep. But I was able to leverage who I was to start it, right? The not knowing anything about real estate is so funny. Like when you're investing in it as an LP, you need to know
LP?
A limited partner. Okay. When you're basically investing passively, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need to know all the inner workings of a real estate business.
And just for the audience, that's how you were investing when you were a pro skateboarder investing.
I was investing passively. So basically what that means is I wasn't doing any of the work for my return, right? Yep. I would invest in with Jerry and Randy, who are now my partners in commune. They would then go find the opportunities, invest in it, bring the team on, create it, and then I would receive the profits, right? They would too, but that's what I would receive. So being an LP and then moving to a general partner is two completely different things, right? Yeah. And I knew nothing about this. Like when you say I didn't know anything, I didn't know anything of it, right? Yep. The good thing for me is it's very similar to a lot of the things that I had done in the past, right? So it didn't take long for me to learn it. And I think that mixed with my personality and having the team I had, it was just a perfect combination of just learning very quickly. But yeah, it's crazy to think that it's not that long ago and the size deals we're doing now I can't even believe I'm here. You know, the deals. I know. It's crazy.
And the other thing that sometimes me and Mikey talk about is that some people have spent 15, 20 years to get to the point that
we joke about this all the time, right? We close on this deal next week. So by the time this comes out, we'll have already closed. This deal is I trip on it. I'm like, I can't even believe we're at the point where we can have the opportunity to have this size of deal. It's
Mikey's
just been
partners
crazy.
who have been doing this for
forever.
They're excited about this deal.
Yeah, and it's funny, man. Like, I've been investing with them over 10 years, right? But like, I'm picking up where they've already been doing it for so long. So just the access of deals that we have at the point of like really me doing this for a year and a half now that's why we joke, like, can you believe like I'm already doing this? It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And that goes back to, if anyone's watched your blog last week, Mikey made a point and he's like, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do something, find people who are doing it and learn from them. And so I'll keep going, then I have a point I want to make.
Yeah, I mean, so that's basically, I mean, and I feel like I've been saying it so much. So if the listeners have been hearing my story over and over, I'm sorry for the repetitiveness. But yeah, I mean, that was, I don't think there's that many people that had to go through what I had to go through, right? Yeah. Of like having something you love, trying to find something else you love. But thankfully I did it. But it's just funny now. It's like, so much of my world is social media, right? So it's like even when Eric was doing his business, when I wasn't a part of it, he would call me and even just ask me things that are going on through social. And it's like, I think just from me doing it for so long and building my platforms and having multiple companies now that I'm building profiles for, you just learn along the way. And me having worked with other companies and doing it, it's crazy. I feel like I've had a social media agency for a long time, but I just never have.
You actually invested in one and it didn't work out, which is a part of what, right?
What? Oh my gosh, I did.
You forgot, right? And this is one of the main things I tell people is that the point about going out and getting money and putting in your pocket, figure out how to do that. Don't go raise money to start an agency.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Sometimes I'm so on this, like, when things bad happen, just don't let them phase you, that I forget about the L's I've taken. Yeah, that was an L. That was just too early. It was too early where it just, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to touch on something. I have a beef with the word side hustle a lot. And here's why. Someone came to me and said, I want to sell mattresses on the side. And
this is a true story?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, I always like to be encouraging when people say things. Whenever anyone's entrepreneurial, I always support what they're saying, unless I think it's a bad road. If someone says I want to open a restaurant or I want to start a skateboard company, I will say do not do it. But my belief is this: if you start a side hustle, it will become your full-time hustle. So if you're going to sell mattresses, be prepared to die for selling mattresses. If you're going to start a restaurant, be prepared to go down with the ship, because restaurants are extremely difficult to make money with. Now, with an agency, here's kind of the magic of it. The magic of it is that you're developing skills, and I want to break this down. An agency, what you're doing is you're learning tech tools, and those tools you can use to become an independent brand builder. So as you help other people build their businesses, you essentially are learning how to build your own business. You're learning how to build your own brand, and you're learning these tech tools that now you can use and charge other people for your services to then build their businesses and get better and better and better at it. So it's funny because we're calling this side hustle, but the side hustle in the sense of like, I'm going to go off and sell this so that I can have more money, I believe commit to what you want to do. And the thing with content creation and tech tools is they apply to almost everything. Mm-hmm. If you're starting any type of business, you're going to be better off if you know how to manage social media, if you know how to place ads, because everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on Instagram. So whatever business you're starting, you're better off having built your own agency if that's the route for you. Now, we don't want, like for our academy, we don't want people who are not a fit, and we don't want people who don't want to do it. We want people who actually want to do it. We want to help them get started. That's the whole, the challenge is, how do you get started? And what I needed is someone who'd done it before to say, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then I can communicate with them when I have a setback. And that's essentially what I believe is an effective side hustle that's actually getting you to where you want to go. And I want to touch on college. Okay. Let's touch on college. So we got a DM from a guy that he just started school like 3 days ago. And he's like, I'm going to school for social media marketing. And he's paying $8,000. It's 2 years. And he's like, the hard part is I don't think it's going to teach me how to get clients. The people that he's learning from are doing it. But my point would be, how effective can that be? I don't know. I've seen people graduate from it, but I've seen people do this that have learned from people who are actually doing it, and they don't need to spend $8,000 in college. Now, I'm not discouraging. If college is right for you, go to college. But for me, I needed to learn from people who were doing it, and that's what we want to be to people, to anybody who actually wants to do it. It does need to be a fit. It does need to be something that you really want to do.
If you hate social media, man, this is not
if you hate social media, not for you, right? And I don't want this to be like a sales pitch. I want to talk about the actual skills. So the skills you need to know how to create video.
You know what though? I would actually challenge that.
Go ahead.
You can always hire that out.
Okay. You can hire it out, but it depends on where you're coming from, right? I will say that
I guess in LA, it's really easy to hire that out.
Kind of though. Here's why I say this. You don't want to walk in somewhere and say, hi, I have 100 skills, and not impact the business. You want to walk in and say, I have 5 skills. You know they need those skills, and they cannot do those skills themselves. And I'll tell you why I believe that video is important. As far as someone paying you for social media, that is a skill that almost any employee can do, right? Just posting to social media. So anybody can take out an iPhone and snap a photo and shoot a story. Now, what they can't do is shoot a video and produce it. So go ahead.
That wasn't I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
My point was if you can do an agency with it, you could hire a filmer onto your agency.
So I want to talk about something very specific, and the purpose of this episode is me looking back. Mikey described me, living on my parents' couch. If I had to go back through those, and those were very, very painful. I laugh about it now, but that was a really hard time in life for me. It was really tough. So if I had to go back and do that again, what would I do differently, and how could I help other people not go through that pain? That's essentially the message that we want to get across. And as I was working for a failing company and as a server, how would I help other people get out of that? And what I would say is to find the skills that people need. If I have to say this, if my path of starting an agency applies to you, I think, and this is why we did this episode, is that we think this is one of the best ways to start an actual side hustle that makes money, that gets you to where you want to go, so you can leverage yourself out of being in that position. And like I said, if I were to start over, I would essentially find the skills that people need, the few skills, like 5 skills, learn those skills really well, and then go out and charge people monthly retainers. So I have a security. Right now, if any of my clients, our clients cancel, we have a 30-day cancellation so that we have time to go out and get another client in that meantime. Most of the time you have so many clients that it's okay, but you still want that cancellation period. So the skills that I'm going to highlight are creating video, and that starts with your iPhone. You can edit really cool videos on your iPhone for people, and then once you're you're at the point where you're making money, you can go out and get more equipment, which we'll show you how to do. The next one is placing Facebook ads. Facebook and Instagram ads are the way to go right now. It's the way everyone's marketing. There's also YouTube ads, but Facebook and Instagram ads are the way to go. Next, you have to build a landing page with those ads so that when people click the ad, they go somewhere and they see your presentation. And then I would say next is just knowing how to have a sales presentation that you can simply send to people, and having the contract, have a 1-page contract. That's what I'll throw out there. Don't have a long, anytime you present someone with like a 3-page detailed contract, they're going to say, okay, I'll have my lawyer look at it, or let me read it over. You have a 1-page, just straightforward binding contract that you stick by and they stick by. And then lastly, I would say have a support group of someone who's done it before, that when things get hard, that you can go, how do I do this? How do I do this? And if you have those things, if an agency's a fit for you, it's totally doable right now. Mm-hmm. There's more demand out there than there are people doing it. Now, mm-hmm. There's starting to be a lot of demand, but trust me, there's still a need. And I promise you, there's always a need for good people, mm-hmm. people who are good at it and reliable. So if I had to go back and do it over again, I would have specifically joined a program that taught me how to get solid monthly income. That would have saved me the months where I didn't have any videos to make, and then all of a sudden was like, how am I broke this month? Because I didn't have anybody to make videos for that month. And I will say this, we get hit up, I've talked about this before, but we get hit up by people who are really good filmmakers. But having that monthly residual, it's not technically residual, having that monthly retainer, you need to know how to do the contract and how to get the right clients. And so that's really what I would say to anybody who wants to start an effective side hustle. And this is what it looks like. Keep doing what you're doing. Have enough spare time, just enough spare time to where you can go out and do this once. Go out and do it once. And then once you've done it once, you develop those 5 skills that people need you for, you can go out and do it again and go out and do it again. And, for someone that's making even, let's say, $100,000 a year, you really only have to do it 4 times. And the thing I love about it, this is my favorite part about it, is that I now can give myself a raise. If I want to give myself a $10,000 a month raise, it's a lot of work, but I can go do that. And I've had months where I said, I'm going to give myself a $5,000 a month raise, and I did it. And it was the best feeling in the world, as opposed to, I'm going to go off and, hopefully my boss will give me this much of a raise, which after it's put into your paycheck turns out to be like $200 more a month. That was like I would battle for those raises. Like I would go into the office and sit down, do these presentations, and I get $200 more a month. Like that sucks, dude. And I'm not laughing at anybody who's in that position, because it sucks. But the feeling now of being able to go out and give myself a raise, that's a good feeling. So I'm going to throw this, that's kind of the summary of how to start a side hustle. Have enough spare time to where if an agency and building your own brand and helping other people build their businesses is a good fit, we're here to show you how to do that. We're definitely going to have a link below where you can go check out what we're doing. Again, hit us up, DM us at AVNI, and we're going to make it so that anyone can do it. We're going to make it so that financially, so that it's possible for people to do. There's going to be more expensive ones, but we're going to make the introductory so that if someone wants to do this, they can do this. And why don't you touch on having access to you or support through it? Oh yeah, that's the whole idea. The whole idea is that we want people who want to do this to be able to have a support system. So obviously we can only get on the phone with so many people, but we're going to have that built in so that there's certain people that we do work one-on-one with. And then there's going to be the academy, the curriculum, which is online that you can take and learn. And there will definitely be support there and a group there of people who are also working towards doing this. And I mean, that's what we're here for. I've done it, and I want to help as many other people as possible do it. So that's what we're here for. And that's, go check it out if you're interested. If you think that's a good fit, just keep in mind that, and I want to say this, a lot of people, I think there's a stigma of people trying to sell so hard these programs that they try to say, you're going to make this much money or you're going to do this. All I'm saying is I did it. It's possible. And I would like to show you how to do it. I can't promise you you're going to make money, but I would say commit to it over a long period of time. And if it's a fit, your side hustle can definitely become something that's not only puts money in your pocket, but also helps you work towards building your own business in the future. And that's something I want to harp on. If you're trying to figure out what you're going to do and you don't know yet, this is perfect because you figure out how to do all the things you need to do before you even start your own business. So did I leave anything out, Mikey? How do you think we're doing here?
I think you got everything.
Okay. So yeah, DM us, hit us up. And I just want to say in closing here, if anybody out there is in that spot, it kind of talking about this today just kind of surfaced like me thinking about being in that spot before. And it was tough. That was a really, really tough time. Not that things aren't tough all the time, but when you're in survival mode, getting out of that is really tough. Just hang in there. I've been there. And I've been in really dark, difficult spots where I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. And having done it, I just want to help anyone I can get out of that. And I've also been in the spot where I had a lot and I had a house and I had a corporate job. And that can also in itself feel like a prison. That it's kind of when you lay down at night to go to bed and you just go like, my life, like I remember sometimes when I was in the corporate grind, I would lay down and be like, I can see the next month and it just seems so not fun. And just like, I'm like trapped. That also can be really, really tough. So both of those, this applies, if it applies to your personal, I can never say it applies to you, but if you're in either one of those positions, chances are it definitely could. So check out what we're doing. And hang in there for anybody that's in that tough spot. And I think unless you have anything else, we'll end it there.
This was an easy one for me. Just that bag.
Give the people some encouragement before we end.
Gosh, if you're willing to work at something, you can succeed. Simple as that.
And one thing we didn't bring up is it's kind of, I meant to bring this up in the beginning, but I'm kind of bummed I didn't, is breaking out. It's almost like having a scale that's just so heavily tipped to one side. And in order to tip it the other way, you just got to just keep putting rocks on there. Just keep putting weight on there. And eventually it will tip.
Yeah.
Eventually it will tip and you will get it to tip, but it takes just continued effort. And, I think the reason a lot of people don't get there is they get a month or 2 months in and feel like I can't do it, but I'm here to say you can do it. It's totally possible. You can do it. I did it. And, it took me a long, long time, and I'm here to help other people so that it doesn't take them that long.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, that's a wrap. So check out what we're doing. Links down below. You can go to avniintelligence.com, check it out, and let us know if you're out there. Feel free to DM us. You can sign up or you can DM us. We'll connect with you, and we're looking forward to helping a lot of people get started doing what they want. So that's a wrap. We'll talk to you soon.